Hello, dear students. In the chapter The One and Only Ivan, we find that the night after Stella died, Ruby is scared and distraught. She's worried, and Bob goes to her and consoles her. He reminds her that Ivan is there to look after her. But then our Ivan has his own moment of self-doubt and a sense of helplessness. Now, why is our hero Ivan looking so worried in this picture? He is wondering if he can ever save Ruby from this unfortunate life that Stella had in the circus. He says, I can't save Ruby. I can't even save myself. So if I can't save myself, how can I save Ruby? And for a brief moment, Ivan actually regrets making that promise to Stella. At that very moment of weakness, Bob, his true friend, walks in and he infuses Ivan with the inner strength to take this challenge up. He reminds Ivan that he is, after all, the mighty Silverback, the one and only Ivan for whom anything in this world is possible. So Bob played his role as a good friend. In the next chapter, Once Upon a Time, we see that Ruby is sad and crying. That night without Stella, Ruby was so lonely that she was unable to sleep. She misses Aunt Stella, her mom, and in fact her entire family. And so, because she's unable to sleep, she requests Ivan to tell her stories about his own childhood. What does Ivan do? Well, initially, Ivan refuses. Why? Because he says that he doesn't remember much about his childhood. Do you believe that? Well, he is jolted by Ruby's crying and grief for Stella. So he tugs his brains hard and thinks hard, and soon the story of Ivan's childhood emerges from his suppressed memory. Finally, Ivan reveals a bit about his past in the chapter titled The Grunt. He was born in a rainforest in Central Africa and he actually had a twin sister. She absolutely loved to chase Ivan all around the forest. So Ivan's parents named her Tag. You know why? Because she was constantly tagging along with Ivan. And you can see the twins jumping around in the forest. Ivan fondly remembers playing with his sister Tag, and the two naughty little twins would bounce on their dad's belly until he let out his signature grunt. Now, what was the signature grunt? It was a rooting pig sound that actually meant, enough! Don't you bounce on my belly any longer. Now, children, as a child, you can see Ivan loved to roam around on his mother's back. Do you know? Ivan had a different name when he was with his family in the forest. Guess what his parents had named him? Ivan's parents had named Ivan Mud. Mud is a strange name. You know why they named him that? Well, it's because he loved to draw with mud. Ivan tells us that he was a born artist, and all day long he drew pictures on whatever he found, on rocks, barks of trees, and even on his mom's back while riding on her back. For Ivan, his name Mud meant a lot to him. He says it actually meant everything to him because it was, after all, a name given to him by his parents, and the name summed up what he loved to do, that is, draw with mud. In the chapter Protector, Ivan tells us a few more details about his family particularly his father. So you see how Ruby jolted his memory and brought things out of his suppressed memory? He tells us that he and his twin sister Tag were the youngest in their family of 10. So it was a large family. Their family was like any other typical family. They sometimes squabbled. But Ivan's dad, who was the typical head of the family, managed to keep them all in line with a simple scowl. You know what is a scowl? Scowl is an angry look. When your father gets angry, he will give you a scowl to keep you in line. Anyway, Ivan fondly and proudly remembers that his father was actually the perfect guide, teacher, and protector for the entire family. In the chapter Perfect Life, Ivan recalls that as baby Mud, he lived a perfect life, spending much of his time on his mother's back and slowly learning all the skills he needed to be an adult, learning the gorilla ways of life, including beating his chest. You can see him beating his chest here. By the way, Ivan also very proudly tells us nobody could chest beat like my father. So Ivan learned this trick from his father. There in the forest, Ivan also learned to be kind, strong, and loyal. He didn't have to come into this human world to learn these qualities of kindness and strength and loyalty. He mentions that growing up as a baby gorilla is pretty similar to growing up as a human baby. Actually, the process is exactly the same, which is clinging to the mother, playing, learning, making mistakes, and starting all over again. We also do that, children, right? Cling to our mother, playing, learning, making mistakes, and doing that. So, baby gorillas also do the same. The chapter, The End and Wine, is a sad chapter. Ivan's perfect life with his mother, father, and family ended. It ended the day the humans captured both Ivan and Tag. Both of them were kept into dark, smelly crate, and sitting inside the crate, Ivan realized that in order to survive, he had to let go of his old perfect life in the jungle and accept whatever came his way. Ivan feels that Tag could not let go of the deep attachment to her home, and so, there, sitting inside the crate itself, the grief killed Tag, and Ivan was the only survivor. Children, Ivan as a baby went through a lot. He was snatched away from his mom and dad and saw his baby sister die right in front of her eyes. Can you imagine how he felt sitting in that crate? So, how did his life in the human world begin? I am wondering. Please read the book to find that out.